our Student Government Association this evening. We have kind of a jam-packed agenda, so we're just going to get rolling. The first order of business is to pass call the meeting to order at 7:56 p.m. on February 23rd, Monday evening. And the first person we have up is with Educational Leadership, talking about student development at CMU. So, Mr. Moore, welcome.
Thank you all so much for a few moments of your time tonight. But more importantly, thank you for the service that you do to this campus. Okay, it was probably a long time ago when I would have been your age, when I could have served in this capacity. Knowing that you're giving that time back is important, not just to me and the university, but to your futures. And that's what I'm here to talk about. I asked President Mahone for a few moments of your time at the start of class to talk to you about a new academic minor at CMU. Okay? You probably feel like I'm saying that out loud, right? But first, by a show of hands, how many of you would say that you've had an out-of-class experience at CMU that prompted your desire to be part of student government? Raise your hand. Okay. Many of you, right? The reality is that there are many different ways to get involved on a college campus, not just student government. Some of you are, raise your hands, watch this, Greek life, raise your hand. Res life, raise your hand. Student activities, raise your hand, right? RSOs, raise your hand. Oh yeah, look at that, right? Within all of those different facets that I just mentioned and many more, there are professionals that make those events happen. And I'm very excited to be able to, you guys are the first group that I'm actually sharing this with, talk about a new academic minor here at CMU called Leadership and Student Affairs. All of the different entities that you raised your hands are represented by people that have gone through a master's program or extensive undergraduate preparation and experience to be a professional in the student affairs field. We are one of the first universities in the country to be able to offer this program. We're having a little bit of a technical difficulty with the overhead, but I will leave these with you tonight. There are about 20 of these. Curriculum guides, I know you're saying, wow, Eric, you really dumped some money into this flyer. It's just that it's so new. We don't have the official looking CMU ones yet. How many of you have taken LDR 200 as a leadership minor? Okay. Many of you? I used to coordinate the leadership minor. I was actually the first faculty member to do that starting back in 2006. And as that grew, our college dean realized that there was a need for additional leadership education, and that's why we came up with this new minor in student affairs. So here are the courses that you'll take in this new minor. Then I'll leave some of these along with some of my business cards. If you have additional questions, I want you to reach out and talk to me about it, okay? So LDR 200, if you've taken that class, you've already taken the only prereq for the entire minor, okay? On top of that, this fall we're offering a new class, and it will be called EDL 360, and it focuses on leading diverse teams. Okay, a rather broad exposure, but we know that once you leave CMU, the people that you will lead will be much more diverse than the people sitting in this room. Not just because of the way they look, but the way that they think, operate, their attitudes, values, and beliefs. That diversity component will also be coupled with another class that you can take as an or. So you can take the leading diverse teams or immersive leadership in an educational setting. That would be a trip-based class where we would take a group of students to Costa Rica and learn about the educational leadership issues and challenges and successes they face in a different country. Because we're dealing with undergrads, it may not always be an international trip, it might be a domestic trip, where we would take a group of students to Dearborn and learn about the Islamic culture right here in Michigan. We also have facilitating outcome-based learning, EDL 476. That will be a class that will essentially teach you how to be a better programmer. If you're an RA, you're in here, you raise your hand, you know you do a lot of that. How can you do it better? Embedded in this minor are 4, don't be scared, 500 level classes. 500 levels are available for undergrads and grad students. And these 4 classes, if you were structured your program right, would parlay into a master's degree here at CMU, a master's degree in higher ed, which you need to gain an entry-level position in student student affairs anyway. So you would take EDL 512, assessment in higher ed. It's a lot more fun than it sounds. EDL 516, leadership for social justice. Maybe something most of you would be interested in. EDL 557, which is helping skills or personal counseling. If you ever find yourself having to pick somebody up and dust them off, those are helping skills. And finally, EDL 598 will be college student development. There's a whole lot more that I want to talk about, but my time is short, and I know that you guys have a lot to do tonight in class. If anything that did I say class? I'm teaching right now. My class is meeting over in EHS. If you are interested in learning more about this, I have about 20 of these curriculum guides with my business card attached. I will leave them up here with the group. You can grab them afterwards, don't forget. And also there will be business cards that you guys can pick if you don't get one of these, if you have questions for me. We have already signed 2 of the minors to this program. It just opened up last week. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask me. And once again, from my heart, I appreciate the time and effort you put into making this campus better. Okay? Thank you.
Could you raise your hand now, and then we can just pass it down for you all. If you're interested, Eric's a great guy, it'll be a great minor, all that fun stuff. Thank you, I appreciate it.
You can also get these on your way out too, so we have some other stuff to do. So we'll have this. All right, and great. And next up, we have a presentation from SAPA.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joshua Taylor, and I'm a senior here at Central Michigan. My major is international business, and I'm here for SAPA.
Hey, I'm Mayara. I'm a senior as well. This is my first year in SAPA, and I'm so before we get started here, there will be some graphic language, quite possibly. So I want everybody to close their eyes, take a deep breath, and then repeat after me. Fuck shit down. Fuck shit down. Okay, one more time. Take a deep breath and repeat after me. Fuck shit down. Fuck shit down. Okay. If you guys are not aware of what SAPA is, we have a 24/7 crisis line as well as a 24/7 chat that is available to anyone at any time. So we do offer these things for survivors and secondary survivors of sexual assault. We also have deal with topics such as sexual assault and domestic violence, intimate partner violence, stalking, harassment, things of that nature. Most of you have probably seen the No Zebras program that we put on, but today we're here to offer the box exercise to you.
All right, cool. So let's get this exercise started. So the first thing we do is I'm gonna draw a box, and actually, my other thing right from. Okay, cool. So the first thing we're gonna do, all right, is what do we call? What are some characteristics to describe the perfect man in society? Okay, strong. Somebody said strong. You grab on it. Gentlemen. Tall, like how tall are we talking? 6 foot? Okay, cool. 6 foot. All right. Okay, handsome.
That's what I meant.
All right, let's get, in the back.
Josh Taylor.
Josh Taylor? Okay. Great. Let's get, three more. Three more. Hold.
Big dog.
Educated.
Educated. Educated. Somebody said big what?
Big dog.
Big dog? Okay, let's get one more. Boss. Alright, what is boss? Alright, what was the last one?
Not sexist.
You said not sexist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, alright, cool. So, according to society, the perfect man in society would be strong, a player, a breadwinner, a gentleman, tall, so I mean you gotta be like 6 feet and above, handsome, Josh Taylor, straight, educated, genuine, boss, scruple, big dog, and not sexist. Okay. Alright.
Athletic.
Alright, athletic. We'll put athletic on there. Okay, cool.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about women. We're going to ask for some work for women that fit society's perfect women. So, fit.
Clean handwriting.
I was going to say something.
Match.
Pretty.
Intelligent.
Motherly.
Sassy.
Not too smart. Okay, so shade.
Don't worry.
Okay, so for women who fit the society's perfect box, they have to be fit, they have to have clean handwriting, they have to be good cook, they have to be beautiful, pretty, they have to be smart, and then have a nice butt, they have to be a mother, they have to be feminine, they have to be educated, but not too educated. They have to be a lady in the streets with a freaking sheet, they have to be a sandwich maker, they have to be obedient, they have to be short, they have to be white, and they have to shave.
Okay, cool. So, alright. Now that we describe what the perfect man in society is, what do we call a man that doesn't fit inside this perfect box of what a man should be doing? Okay, back again.
Pussy.
What'd you say?
What's another one?
Pussy.
Alright, what else? Let's get some more.
Jewish.
Woman.
I'm Jewish. I didn't say that.
Alright, let's get five more.
A bitch.
A bee? Okay, asshole.
Y'all ain't saying
A scrub. Alright,
That's so funny. I'm gonna really offended.
two more.
Needle dick.
Alright, one more. Alright, so where the man that doesn't fit inside the box where the perfect man should be is called faggot, pussy, woman, dickhead, asshole, geek, bitch, bum, scrub, needle dick, weak, Jason, and a loser.
Okay, so words we got for women who don't fit society's box. Fit, slut, fruit. Easier slut.
Lippy.
What? Unattractive. Ratchet.
One more.
Tease. Tease.
Home wrecker.
I want to be invited.
Jeez! Swipe left. I can't see it.
Piece of shit.
Ugly! Oh yeah, that's first.
Okay, so for women that do not fit in society's box, we have bitch, slut, whore, butch, gay, tomboy, lesbian, cunt. Ratchet, unattractive, a tease, unkempt, homewrecker, they're not wifey material, they're basic, they're hoes, plastic, ugly, and swipe right.
Alright, listen up. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna draw two more boxes. So the first box we're gonna draw is a box for men. And what do we call men that have a lot of sex in society?
The man.
Stars.
Man whore.
Dirty.
Wall.
Womanizer.
Normal. Normal. Cool.
Get some more?
Sexy.
Tiger Woods.
Alright. Let's get three more.
He's a Mac Daddy. The whole NBA.
Alright, cool. So, alright, listen up. So, we call a man that has a lot of sex in society a player, the man, king, man whore, boss, experience, womanizer, popular, normal, douchebag, Tiger Woods, Charlie Sheen, Mac Daddy, and Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to work for women who have a lot of sex.
Awesome.
I'm feminist. We write that. All right.
Alright, let's get three more. Alright.
Experience.
So for women who have a lot of sex, we have slut, whore, stank, prostitute, hussy, used, independent, satisfied, a harlot, ratchet, easy, a thought, they're dirty, loose, they're a freak, promiscuous, feminist, and comforter.
Alright, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a survey. So pretty much all I want you to do is you can put thumbs up or thumbs down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over this list of men. If it's a positive, or what society would consider a positive, thumbs up. If you think it's a negative, thumbs down. Okay. Alright, let's start off with player.
Society.
Alright, positive player. Okay, the man. Okay, positive. Alright, king. Positive. Man order. Alright, negative. Boss. Positive. Alright, experience. Okay, positive. Womanizer. Alright. Popular. Alright, normal. Plus. Okay. Douchebag. All right, negative. Tiger Woods. People in the back saying positive. Positive, negative, positive. All right, Charles T. All right, we go down from Charles T. Okay, Mac Daddy. Okay, positive for Mac Daddy. Neil Secretary. All right, cool. So we're gonna do the same thing for women. This time I'm gonna just go down the list. If it's any part where you think it's a positive, just stop. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So slut, whore, skank, prostitute, hussy, used, independent. Stop. Okay, independent. All right. Satisfied. All right. Harlot. Okay, harlot, ratchet, easy, thought, dirty, loose, freak, promiscuous, feminist.
Stop.
Okay. Freak, yeah, freak. Okay, the last one is something.
Okay, so notice how most of the words that we use for men have a lot of sex are positive. When you write it down, and very few of the words that we use for women are positive. He only stopped a few times, most of these are negative. So some of the words that we have to describe men in a negative manner, compare them to women, like the words bitch, pussy, things of that nature. Comparing those men to women are degrading women and meaning that women are lesser. And then the words that we use to describe women who have a lot of sex are objects, cum dumpster. That's an object. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at these words that we have here.
All right, cool. So as my understanding, when we do both of these lists, we start with just the sex list in general. For one, we never made it clear if it was having sex with just one person, just a lot of sex with one person, or if it was sex with a lot of people. But with society, the way our minds think, we probably tend to think that it's with a lot of people. And even then, what we see is with men that have a lot of sex, more positive. With women that have a lot of sex, it's negative. So that creates this hierarchy between men and women. And then when we go back to this original list right here, is it possible to be the perfect man? Possibly. Very, 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 very small chance, but could possibly fit into it. However, is it possible to be a perfect woman when you have something like, you have to be a lady in the street, but then you also have to pretty much be super sexual once you get into the bedroom? Is it possible to really be educated, but then not too smart? Like, what does that even mean? Even when we start to think about the way we want a woman's body, we want her to be super thick, we want her to have big boobs and a big butt, but then we want her to also be skinny. That's pretty hard to do, like proportionally.
Yeah.
And then we also want her to be a mother, we want her to be obedient, we want her to do all these things to the point where to be a perfect woman in society is damn it, well, no, impossible. And so, if you don't fit inside the perfect box, man, what you call it is, the first word up here is faggot. Now, a lot of times that's used as a derogatory reference, but the original term for faggot was actually used to describe women that picked up cigarettes. So once again, if you don't fit inside the perfect box of man, you fit inside a woman. You call it a pussy, that's a body part on a woman. You call it a woman, you call it a bitch, when you call a man a bitch, you call him a woman. But if we go over here, when you call a woman a bitch, you're calling her a female dog, so no longer human. A slut, it's not human. Butch, cunt, like a body part. Ratchet, you have all these things that pretty much call a woman less than human. So the next thing we'll do is just, in this last part of the exercise, we have this chair right here, okay? So I want you to tell me what's wrong with this picture, okay? Hey, is it okay if I sit down here? Thank you. Now, what's wrong with that picture? Okay, I'm talking to a chair. What's so wrong with me talking to a chair?
You're not asking permission.
Yeah, I asked permission. It's an object. Okay, what specifically about a chair? Why is it wrong for me to ask a chair to sit?
It's not living, it's not gonna respond.
It's not living, it's not going to respond. What else? Correct. That's the purpose. This is a chair. It's designed for me to sit on. When I look at this, I think of it as a chair. So the way I'm gonna act towards it, I'm gonna act towards it like it's a chair, and I'm gonna just sit without asking because it's an object literally designed for me to sit on. Now, the way we think in SAPA is, okay, what you say reflects how you think, and how you think really shows is shown by how you behave. So if in society we're calling women that don't fit inside our own perfect box of what a woman should be, we're calling them a female dog or pretty much an object, or even let's go down here to where's that? The hum dumpster. Pretty much a receptacle for us to put our penis into. And when it comes to something that's serious, when it comes to talking about consent, when it comes to asking for consent from a woman, a lot of times people will tend to not even do that, because what they start to do is view women as an object, and it creates a scary, dangerous world. So it's just something to think about.
So again, this is a round of applause for our wonderful. So at SGA we do different presentations like these, and sometimes you're probably wondering why are we learning about SAPA at SGA when we're supposed to be about government. One thing I think that often gets lost is that your purpose as SGA reps, as senators, and as House members is to go back to your organizations and share this knowledge you have. We're here learning about this because it affects our student body as a whole. We're here to represent our student body. And how can we do that? We don't really understand our population. We're not forward thinking with how we want to change our population. So please take this information back to your individual RSOs. Whether you want to have SAPA come and do a presentation to you all, or you just want to learn or share some of the insight that you gain, we beg you to do so, and it will teach you all House members to do so. So again, thank you so much for participating earnestly. Thank you so much for taking it seriously. And thank you so much for being present tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Yeah, so the last thing is adjourned, but I had two general announcements. For those who are still interested in running for any position for the upcoming election, we have packets up here in front, and we're available to answer questions. And also, again, our visualizer isn't working, so I'm going to just read this announcement though. Hopefully you all have heard of it, but the Muslim Students Association, the MSA, in collaboration with CMU, is organizing a memorial vigil to celebrate the lives of Tia Barakat, Razan Abu Salah, and Yasser Abu Salah, sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, the three victims of the February 10th Chapel Hill shooting at North Carolina. It will take place Tuesday, February 24th, that's tomorrow, at noon, across from the Fabian Botanical Garden. So write that down, or you can come up afterwards to write that down if you are interested in want more information. Oh, and also, Foster. You're still here.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry. All right. And so, sorry. You can just go.
I'll just pick it up after.